What's up, y'all? How you guys doing? Welcome to a brand new session of Bouqui'S Place, War Room at Bouqui'S Place. And you know what we do? We don't talk about the glitz or the glam. We talk about the grit and the grind. And we bring your favorite people to talk about what's going on in Nigeria and in the world. And in the house today, in the War Room today, I have the phenomenal, multi-award winning, multi-talented Eldee the Don. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll for the one and only Eldee the Don.
What's up?
Eldee.
Thank you. I appreciate the warm welcome, the lovely introduction.
It's you now.
Thank you.
It's you now.
Appreciate
I mean, you forgot you are healthy. Listen, man, welcome to Bouqui'S Place. And I was telling them before you joined, I said, man, most of my interviews nowadays are like, I'm talking to someone. We were on the phone for over an hour yesterday, and we're like, we need to get this thing online. And that's how we've really, yeah, because we feel we should just not, it might be our perspective, it might not be all that, but we should not be the only ones privy to that. We should be able to share with the world and let them give their opinion and all that. So we said, let's take this to social media, let's take it to IG Live, and you obliged willingly. So thank you for that. So
No, absolutely, and I appreciate it. If you see me looking around, that's because I have multiple screens in front of me.
Okay.
I have the elections on one side. I have some of my work that I'm tracking on the other side. Some real estate stuff I'm looking at. Some IT teams that I'm trying to help. Like there's a bunch of stuff going on. But I'm taking this time, and I wanted to take this time to actually get together with you and let's talk, because there's so many things that are on my mind that I feel super passionate about. That I'm sure that we share. Do you get what I'm saying? That I think that we probably want to touch on, and I think that these discussions are important as well, because it's an opportunity for folks out there who may feel the same way or who may not have the perspective to gain perspective or even share their perspectives with us as well. So it's an opportunity to give and also receive. To learn. So.
Yeah. So that's good. You can look around, but just give us your 100% concentration on everything else.
Right here.
I know. I trust you. Here. Yeah. So our conversation. Hey, DJ Money. So we started with just being frustrated as usual. Oh my God. And then we started talking. We were exchanging narratives. Oh no, don't say it like that. Oh, you say it like that. And we're wise and learned enough to know that my perspective don't have to be right. I can learn from you, just like you said. I can learn from you and you can learn from me. So the only way to go forward, I always say this, the only way to go forward is when you look back and you review the past, and then you can see the things you did right, the things you didn't do, or the things you by oversight omitted. So let's start from the very beginning. From your perspective, the protest, and then we can piggyback on that and we flow to wherever we have to go to.
So basically, this is like a retrospective, what went well and what didn't go so well with the protest, right?
From your narrative, from your perspective.
From my perspective, and I wasn't on ground, this is the kind of thing that I definitely would have been involved in.
Of course.
Because, I'm one that's always for, really for the people, and I think that it's important that we think of things more from the standpoint of the people rather than how it benefits us as individuals. And I feel like the thing that really went well with the protests for me was the fact that the word got out, right? Was the fact that the cries were heard from all corners of the globe. And I think that that's really important. I think that that's a huge win, because in the past, it's been difficult to get people everywhere to understand
that kind of momentum.
Right?
Yes.
So I think that went very well. I think something else that went well was the fact that we were able to organize, and for the first time, at least in my experience in Nigerian history, we had a movement that was a true movement, without a leader, without any type of figurehead or alternative agenda, but to end SARS. Because I've been part of a lot of movements. I was part of Light Up Nigeria. As a matter of fact, Light Up Nigeria really essentially started in my bedroom. I was part of Occupy Nigeria.
Occupy Nigeria.
I'm part of Enough is Enough as a collective of people just wanting to do things different. I've lent my voice. I've been part of protests. I've gone out to actually talk to people. I've met with politicians. So I've met with people as well. And there's a story I'm going to share later on about some of the things that I learned from interacting with my people, right? And understanding how disconnected we are. But that's for a later discussion. I guess the point I'm trying to make is this was the first time that we were able to come out and say something in one voice without having a figurehead who can easily be either manipulated, bent, twisted, or threatened, in any type of manner. And I think that was one of the things that made it successful, is that we have to start recognizing that there's power in one voice, not one person's voice, but one voice as a people. So that went really well. I'm very happy about that. And that also helped with some of the counter arguments that came from the government, especially to the international press, about, oh, no, nothing happened. Oh, no, people didn't do this, etc. But the people have a voice. And I'm glad that we're able to do it also through social media. Because I hear people say, oh, there's not enough penetration from a social media standpoint in Nigeria. However, there are a lot of people who represent the voice of the Nigerians on social media to the rest of the world. So I think that went well as well. Now, what didn't go so well, in my opinion, was strategy and being able to anticipate what the government might do. These guys are old dogs. They're not, in my opinion, they're not very sophisticated. So their actions are very predictable. As a matter of fact, you could have written this out and you could have seen exactly how it was going to play out. It will
play out
from the very beginning, because they have the same playbook. They're, again, not very sophisticated people. So I feel like we could have been better prepared for some of the things that eventually happened, and we may have been able to avoid the casualties. This is not to blame anyone, but since we're talking about it, yeah, right? And nobody really knows how things may play out, but I feel like as much effort as was put into the security of the protests, into feeding people, into articulating the 5 for 5, I think we could have put a little bit more effort into anticipating what the government was going to do and be a little bit prepared for that, right? So that's the one thing that stood out to me. The other thing that I feel that we could do a little different is people feel like a lot of people showed up for the protest and it was peaceful because, oh, we were feeding people or we were helping people to understand that this is their fight as well. While it's cool and it's a way to kind of sustain it, too much emphasis was put on, oh, the fact that we fed people and we took care of people. And that sort of takes away from what we're here to do. We're here. The objective, the goal is to speak in one voice, is to express frustration. When an expression of frustration becomes a feeding frenzy and a little bit of a party and a little bit of a, hey, come on. I mean, when you're watching protests from anywhere, Tunisia, Egypt, these are African countries, right?
Yeah.
Or the Middle East, or anywhere else, or Hong Kong. People express their frustration. You can sense the frustration from the crowd. When you look at the protests, our protests, there was a little bit of a merry vibe going on. It almost felt like you were looking at a bit of a concert.
You don't even have to go to Tunisia or wherever. If you come to my house to fight me and you sit down, you're like, for me cook, give me rice, and you came to fight me, I'll be like, you're not all that serious.
You're not serious. Like, so the people that we're speaking to, I don't know that they took us as serious. until it became international, until they started getting embarrassed, until and again, this is not me trying to blame anybody. I hope that people understand that what we're doing here is
analyzing.
retro,
yes,
and we're trying to analyze and we're trying to figure out what it is that we can do better, right? We have to be conscious of the fact that a protest that is perceived as a gathering of jolly people kind of sends the wrong message in a sense. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, and honestly, I don't know how we would control that, because we also don't want the atmosphere to be so tense to where it then descends into chaos or any type of, trouble. But yeah, those are the kind of things that I wish that we had a little bit more better control, of. And then also it appears, and I'm learning this, and actually just learning some of this yesterday, it appears that some folks knew to get away from the protest grounds prior to the army showing up or the cameras being taken away, and it was only a few people that were left behind. So the question was, did they not know to sort of tell everyone, okay, you know what, now that there's a curfew, let's get out of here? Or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that part of it is still a little bit fuzzy to me, because what ended up happening was the people who stayed behind were starting to feel like, and I heard that this was some of the feedback, right, was that they were starting to feel like, oh, the rich kids have left us here, when they knew that the soldiers were coming, and they basically left us here exposed, and we were the ones that took the bullets for them as usual. Wow. And I don't know that sends a positive message. If that's how people feel, and sometimes it's not about the intention, right? It's really about how people
communication.
Like, it's what people perceive that actually matters. So maybe the intention is really good and it's well, what is well-meaning, but then somehow it left people feeling,
it didn't translate
right.
well.
So everything that we were trying to do in the beginning, which is like, look, guys, yes, I have an iPhone 11 or whatever, so I can be on Instagram live tweeting and posting all these protests and drawing up all these placards and feeding people, but we're one and the same, right? You're Nigerian, I'm Nigerian. We're Nigerian first. We're human first, then we're Nigerians. And the battle that is on ground is not it's equally yours as well. And I think that helped a lot of people to join the protest. But if the protest then left people feeling like that unity was not really there, it's almost like, when shit hits the fan, these people just kind of left us behind. I think that was something else that I kind of felt, it made my heart sink a little bit when I was like, man, that's horrible, because next time we want to get people to come out, there's a tendency for people to then be like, the last time we will come, when the thing won't happen, they don't call all the rich people, they come off for there. Now only us that leave behind. You get what I'm trying to say? So anyway, that's all I have to say.
And like you said, it's really not about the intention. It's really about perception. If I can think that what you're trying to do is this, even though you're saying, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. The fact that I feel that, my dad will say, it's not what you say to people that matters. It's how they feel when they receive the message. So if you're trying to remove something from my eye and you're saying, "What'd you do that, you stupid?" I'm going to be like, yeah, you're trying to help me, but you don't bring me down in the process, So I never really saw that angle, but I thought I saw a couple of videos that observe the curfew guys don't go out. I think I saw a couple of those kind of videos.
And there may have been. I don't know if people actually said that on the stage, though.
No.
Because there was a public address system, which I figured could have been an opportunity to say, guys, wanna come off of here. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know that and maybe that did happen, and some folks just decided to hang back anyway. But I feel like, because what I heard was people saying, hey, you know what, we're gonna show these people that we're also law-abiding citizens, and we're actually going to leave the protest grounds. Right. But for some reason, somehow that didn't really translate well to the rest of the crowd. A bunch of people stayed behind. And then we had the casualties. So
yeah. First, there's the glory that's coming from behind you. Can we reduce the light that is coming from behind you, Eldee?
it's the effects now. It's the effects. Don't you understand? What's wrong with you? I spoiled my production. I did inside music video right now. Hey, 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 hey.
Okay, someone said
sorry,
they were
that's
told.
The sun moving around. And just,
yeah, someone said they were told that if they sang the national anthem, nothing will happen to them. Yes, we get that, but Eldee's point is that some people knew to disappear, which is weird because I never thought about that someone should have gone, even though there was no leadership that was representative, right? They should have gone to say, guys, this is 2:00. They said 4:00 or whatever. Let's go home. There should have been one of the key people, because all the key people disappeared. That's true, for real. I'm thinking about that now. Someone should have taken the responsibility. And I think what happened was the good thing, the strength was then the weakness, because there was no leadership. Nobody took responsibility for that. Because if there was one leadership, or leader, someone could have said, look, it's my responsibility. I have to tell them to go home. And even, so I think in hindsight, that could have been balanced. We don't have to have a leader, but we can have representatives talk. And they did have, because there were people, what I think was missing? There was nobody constantly casting the vision. So people knew it was NSARS, 5 for 5. But then what after? You know what I'm saying? Then what? What are we doing and all that? So I think they could have it's not to blame, please, guys. We're just talking. This is me and Eldee's phone call that you guys are just listening to. Maybe, yes, next time, let there be someone saying, we need to know that while we're passing this message across, we're not trying to break the law. But because the moment we break the law, now they'll say, shit, these are the people that want change. They can't even abide by simple laws and rules. So yeah, I never thought about that, and I think that's true. They could have told them to disperse, go home. And I saw a few videos, but not everybody at the protest will have a video up looking at Instagram. Yeah.
And I see some folks posting that they did in fact announce, but some people just decided to stay back. And I guess we can't really blame them for staying back, right? I went
to Ife. Our MO is Aluta continue. That's even if they steal somebody's shoe, we're all ready to gather. Oh, they stole this person's shoe. That that's the MO in Ife. Aluta continue, Victoria Sata. So what I think happened was the spirit of Aluta is like any movement. When it starts, it catches fire.
Right.
It's just what it is. You can't start saying, no, you guys in Enugu, don't do your own. No, it's only for now. When it starts, any move, even there was on the other side, the Christians were praying and it caught fire too, so that's how a revival is, a revolution, So I think that, I think that it was really, I'm very careful to say,
Yeah, you know what? I think we should probably actually just move away from this one, because this is a sensitive one.
Okay.
It's a sensitive one, and it's easy for us to say. We're in America, right?
Yeah.
It's easy for us to say, oh yeah, maybe we should have done this. It would never be perfect, right?
Yeah.
But then the opportunity to have a retrospective is an opportunity to figure out what it is that we can do better next time, right?
Yeah.
So we're not saying that anyone did anything wrong. It's never going to be perfect. There will be things that will happen that were not intended to happen. It's part of the struggle, right? And we're dealing with, old, dangerous dogs, so it's not. And sometimes if they feel like things aren't going their way, the Niger way is that's your off, right? They just, throw a spanner in the engine and just blow everything up and turn it into, something crazy once they lose control. So, it's easy to talk. So
let's move away from that. From that. So yes, great testify. So now it's over and everybody is trying to get groups together, which is a great thing. and I've been in a couple of groups, you've been in a couple of groups, and we're addressing this thing. And not to bring anybody's effort down, you know, that's not what we're trying to do. But I'm seeing a trend. The people, because now everybody's saying, educate the grassroots, educate the grassroots. The first thing is educate the grassroots. But even the way they refer to those people, it's like I enter a store and then Oyinbo woman carries a bag and she's doing like this, and then she comes to me, I would like to market this thing to you. I'm like, oh, you're carrying your bag like I'm going to steal it. I want to market something to me. If you see me wrong, you cannot communicate to me. And I'm hearing terms like those poor people, you know, those people, the poor people, and I'm like, the thugs, the hoodlums, and I'm like, and I was like, yo, we have to break these walls down. If you want to reach them, the last thing you want to be saying is, okay, let's reach those people at the grassroots, the poor people. We need to understand that we're trying, and then it's coming off as we're trying to help them.
That's right.
And the moment someone thinks that you're trying to help me, now they think, what are you gaining from that?
That's right.
And they will never receive what you're saying, because now they think, you know how human beings would rather lose something than for you to gain. So if I say, come on, you know, like, I won't do it just because she will gain, even at my own detriment.
Absolutely.
So what do you think can be done differently?
Well, I mean, first of all, I need to agree with you. You're 100% correct. One of the things that I've been saying for the past couple of weeks has been that we need to unlearn oppression, because oppression has become our way of life. Oppression is pretty much what we live for in Nigeria. Everybody wants to have nice things, not because they want to have nice things, but because they want to oppress people who don't have, right? And this goes back all the way back to like colonialism and how the master-slave relationship sort of became our norm, right? A master-slave relationship where I'm the master, you're the slave, you work for me. Everything that you do is pretty much to satisfy me. And then one day the master steps away and puts in new masters. So basically the Oyinbo master walks off and puts in some black masters. And then some of the slaves somehow become masters now. Becoming a master then becomes the goal for everyone. Nobody wants to be a slave. Nobody wants to be at the bottom of the pile. Everybody wants to be a master. And one of the ways to demonstrate that you're a master is by showing people your wealth. Is by showing people the authority that you have. Is by essentially not thinking of your fellow human being, your people, your own people, as worthy of the respect and regard that you have. Because you're the master now, and they are the slaves. So they must bow down whenever you come. When you're driving in traffic and they're in your way, somebody has to whip them so that they know that an important fellow is coming. When I'm going for an award show, I have to wear the $1 million suit, because how else do I show my peers that I'm superior? What makes me the master in the situation? I have to live in Lekki, even though I can't afford it, because how else do I show my peers, people that I grew up with in Surulere, that I'm now a master?
I've arrived.
And if that's the only motivation that you have in a system, then obviously everybody wants to be a senator, because that's like the highest level of being a master. You want to be a senator, you want to be a House of Reps person, local government chairman, governor, and all of these positions become attractive. And because it's the system, even the financial structure of the society is aligned to that system. So essentially the master of all the masters, the president, is the one controlling all the wealth. And then everybody else follows. The interest of the people has never been at the center of anything at all. It's never at the center of anything at all. A rich person who lives in a neighborhood surrounded by poor people isn't thinking, I have a 100 kVA generator. How can I give power to X number of people in a 1 mile radius? He's thinking about, no, I need to not only light up my house, I need to put these powerful street lights that are shining all around my compound so that all these miscreants, these hoodlums, recognize that the king is here and I have something that they don't, so they will revere me. He's not thinking about the fact that everyone deserves electricity. Everyone deserves to have basic roads and water and food. And so even the influential people among us, our mentality is master slave. When a master is going through the city and some people try to come and touch him, hey, don't touch me, you dirty, filthy slaves. This is the relationship between I use the slave master and slave analogy because it's the best way to, I think it's the one way that helps people really understand the relationship that the people in Nigeria who have access to wealth have with the people who don't, right? Is this idea that essentially that means that if someone isn't
for someone poorly, to rise up, you know, someone must go down.
Somebody else must go down. If someone isn't doing poorly, I can't do well. You know, that idea of the collective good.
Oh, they try, Yoruba, they bad, try, but
at least more.
Oh, try.
But seriously, and thank you for allowing me to kind of get my thought out. But seriously, the idea that we need to do away with if we really want to fix Nigeria is that mindset. We need to get out of that mindset. Because if we don't get out of that mindset, we're setting ourselves up for failure. When a man comes to you and says, I'm hungry, please give me food, and you have a big plate in front of you, pie, jollof rice, everything, chicken, and he says, bros, please give me some. I don't really get out of here. Dirty animal, miscreant, you hoodlum, right? He'll come back the next time, bros, I find out something now. Get out of here, you hoodlum. The next time he comes, he might have a bottle in his hand. Say, yeah, so you know, go give me rice.
I'll take it. No,
go give me rice, Abby. Get out of here, you hoodlum, miscreant. One day he's gonna come smash the bottle in your head and take the food. This is just the law of nature. That's unfortunately how all animals have evolved, all human beings have evolved. This is snatch and grab is the jungle way. And unfortunately, when you don't think of the guy who's asking you as worthy of getting a little bit of this rice, especially when you have a huge pile on your plate, what you're lining yourself up for is that eventuality. And I think that a lot of people are scared and they're worried right now because they're starting to see that there are two Nigerias. There's the Nigeria of the so-called middle class, which is the Nigeria of the elites. And then there's the Nigeria of the, another 90% of the population where people can't afford, they don't even know where the next meal is going to come from. And when I say 90% of the population, if you live in Surulere, you don't feel that way because you feel like you're closer to the elites. If you live in Ajangbadi, or you live in Badagry, or you live in Abeokuta, or you live in Ekiti, or you live in Kafanchan, Kontagora, then you understand the 90% that I'm talking about. They're not in the cities. The majority of our population is not in the cities and in the fancy places. They're in the rural areas. They're the ones that don't have access. They're the ones who feel that the elites are the only hope that they have to get anything. This is the reason why it's easy for politicians to buy elections. Because all you have to do is go feed them, give them a little bit of money, and then, you can get them to do whatever you need them to do because their primary concern is how we take jobs.
How to get by.
How can we just survive? People are still in that very primal stage of existence where they're just trying to survive. So when you look at a population that is that huge, I mean, we keep talking about 200 million, which I don't think we're 200 million. That's a whole nother conversation. But let's imagine that that's the actual number, right? You're essentially talking about maybe 2 million of us who are okay and 198 million or so who aren't.
Wow.
So if this 198 million or so people decide that, you know what, we're going to take from anybody that has that plate of rice in front of them, what you have is anarchy. The whole system will disintegrate. Everything will collapse. The army is not big enough to contain this number of people. There's no army that's big enough to contain that number of people. None. No existing army in the world can contain that number of people. There is no system in place to even contain that. So there is not just a threat to us as a country. There's a threat to the people who are in the system right now, who are feeling safe because they think somehow that, oh, let's calm people down, or let's stop breaking and looting in all these places. When people go out of frustration and they start breaking into places and taking things, it's very easy to charge it to lack of education, illiteracy, thuggery, right?
It's revenge.
It is actually, thank you so much, Bouquie. This is people airing their frustrations the only way that they know how. Because guess what? They don't have a voice. We have platforms. We haven't used our platforms to give them a voice. They're not on TV. Nobody hears how they feel. Nobody knows what they think. We don't even know how they feel and what they think. Because all of us are on our high horses. This is our culture, to sit on the horse or to sit on the big chair while a bunch of people are carrying you up and down. Babao. It's such part of our culture. That's how we even talk to one another. Baba, how far, Baba? What is Baba? What does that mean? This idea that you have to bow to someone because they're of a higher social class than you. They're not more intelligent than you. They don't bring anything to the table other than the fact that they found themselves in a position
they have access.
Position of privilege, and therefore you are now beneath them and they must step on all of you. All of you must bow down. You don't deserve to be in my space. If we don't do away with that mentality, people are going to come and they'll take everything. And unfortunately, by the time that happens, the few of us that are creating the problem or enabling the problem and not catering to the welfare of that general population will get on planes and escape. Then the small middle class that can't escape will be the ones that are left. England just said, oh yeah, nobody should come. They're locking down their country. Yes, it is COVID related, but the minute there's anarchy in any country, most surrounding countries will first of all say, you people are too many, don't come. So now you're stuck in the country and in the system. And now you can't escape. And now you have to deal with it. So essentially what happened after the protests and everything that went on with, after the Lekki shooting rather, and all of the looting and the breaking of things and the burning of buses and all of that stuff that happened, it's kind of a tip of the iceberg of what could happen the minute that larger population decide enough is enough. And what leads people to that point? No healthcare, no education, no water, no light, no welfare, nothing of any kind. People are in a situation that is desperate perpetually. They're perpetually desperate. They can't get anything. There's no access to and for anything. They can't even reach out to their fellow citizens like you and I and say, Bouquie, sister, Baba, airport. When people talk about Agbiru, I try to understand and the qualification. Agbiru basically is a bus conductor, right? So a bus conductor in our society is considered as someone whose life
low level, low life,
worth
nothing.
Is worth nothing. But Senator, Your Excellency, Your Honorable, those are the valuable people in the society. Those are the people that everybody reveres. When you are gas, the people between Honorable and Agbiru, they're the ones that are going to feel the heat. And unfortunately, the minute the riot started, it's those people that came and say, you people, okay, Otito now, Everybody calm down. And it's not this serious. Look at, they've destroyed my business. Oh, this is my business that I worked so hard to build. Your real problem is that the people around you are in a very desperate situation. And I'm not asking for us individually to solve the problem by giving people handouts, because I see a lot of people think that that's the solution. The solution is not to give people handouts. The solution is to
empower,
do everything
enlighten,
we can to take our commonwealth and use it to empower, enlighten, educate, give people tools so that they can be okay. Nigeria is not a country that doesn't have the resources. The resources are there. And we, what that day, Jaburata, River Niger day, River Benue day. I break into song. But for ordinary man, simple thing to enjoy, you know, fit to get. I mean, bottom line is, those who understand need to find a way to grab the reins and reel things back and start fighting to get the average person a chance, opportunity. When people have opportunity, they thrive. When people don't have opportunity, they become what we call hoodlums and miscreants. So for as long as we sit back and allow our fellow brothers and sisters to be classified as agbero or hoodlums or touts, and we don't see that we are partly responsible, then we're on a path that I don't think we realize could be our end, not just as a country, but even as a people and even as individuals, because people feel removed from it. It's like, oh, you know, it's just happening now. It's just Nigeria now, and they'll figure it out. Or they're fighting in, have you heard? They're fighting in Ojodu. It's distant. Oh, Boko Haram is in Borno. It's distant. You know, you don't feel like it's close enough to you to where it concerns you, but it should concern you, because the people Boko Haram is killing are Nigerians. Their lives are not less valuable than yours. So anyway, all this long rant.
No. I'm listening to you, because before you make your point, you're so right. Remember when we were actively like touring and all that, and all these boys will come, you know, and then me, because me, I'm a very humble and nice girl, you know, so I would talk to them and they'll be like, why you they talk to me? I'm like, why I not go talk to you? Even till, you know, like even now when I go to a store, I could see someone homeless if you say something interesting, I engage and I'm talking, and they'll always ask, why are you talking to me? I'm like, why shouldn't I talk to you? You know, so even,
you're valuable. You deserve respect.
Yeah, but in their own minds, you see, you saying me, you might see me as a bad person, which would really not affect me if I don't see myself as a bad person. Do you understand what I'm saying? I could create my own narrative. But the moment I see myself as lesser, then you're my enemy automatically. Because now it's me that I'm seeing myself like that. So if I see myself as obese, if you come and you say, oh, look at your round face, even if it's a joke, the fact that I see myself like that, I'm already on the defensive. So it doesn't take, it doesn't take a lot to trigger that off. You know, you just need a little bit of push. So make your point and tell us what you think can be done about this mindset and breaking the walls.
What we need to do is we need to start a campaign that helps the everyday Nigerian understand that, first of all, we're all in this together. Secondly, or maybe concurrently, we need to figure out how to take back the power in our system that is diverting our commonwealth from the people, and start trying to figure out ways to make sure that the people regain their commonwealth. The elections in 2023 are coming up. Everyone is saying, oh, get your PVC, get your PVC. That's not enough. We need people who are going to replace the current crop and who have this agenda of the Commonwealth of Nigeria belonging to all Nigerians as the people that we vote for. everyone talks about unity. I see someone even mention unity matters. Everyone talks about unity or Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa. No, I'm not worried about that. The reason I'm not worried about that is that if we take it from I'm from Lagos, so I want to deal with Lagos standpoint, and someone else says I'm from Owerri, I want to deal with Owerri. If we all have the same mindset, and the goal is that the commonwealth of the people goes back in their control, like they regain control of their commonwealth. If that is the goal, then we win. People have blamed the constitution. They have blamed, oh, it's because Nigeria is mixed with all these different tribes. It's because it has nothing to do with that. All it has to do with is well-intentioned people who honestly and truly care about the welfare of the average Nigerian, not some Nigerians, not a few Nigerians, not a tribe, not a group, but the average Nigerian. So wherever it is that you are, wherever it is that you find yourself, that you look around you and you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to do something for this community to help this community grow. There's a campaign, quick diversion, but may help to validate the point. There's a campaign in America, very subtle, for you to support local businesses. The reason why they say support local businesses is because the local economy, you have to think about the economy from the household, the estate or subdivision, the what do you call it? The little municipality or whatever, the city, before you even get to the local government or county, before you get to the state, right?
And then federal.
You people are willing to take care of your family. And we take care of the neighborhood as well. That's the reason why we have what is called a homeowners association.
Yeah.
So that we can make sure that we are looking out for everybody within this
immediate environment.
So then we extend that to the city. Well, how do we make sure that we're looking in the interest of everyone within the city? How do we then make sure that we're looking in the interest of everyone within the state? It's a mindset. If everybody on the street comes together and decides, okay, we need to take care of the street. And this started to happen at some point, but it disintegrated again. Where people will get together and say, okay, you know what, there's a security issue. What do we do as a street? Oh, okay, we need to put gates. We need to do this. We need to do that, right? If we approach every single thing with that mindset, I think we'll be on to potentially turning Nigeria back around to where it needs to be headed. Because where Nigeria is headed right now, there's no good way to explain it. It's a very dangerous place.
Yes.
Very dangerous place. And I don't think that people are taking it as seriously as they should. The so-called Agbero or the poor people, the Nigerians, have gotten a taste now that it is possible to break into somewhere and take all the Indomie and the rice. They're going to rebuild the malls and feel, oh, yeah, things are back to normal. And then one day someone's going to need something and he'll be frustrated enough to motivate 20 other people, and then they will loot ShopRite again. And then looting ShopRite now becomes an option. Whenever guys are in need of stuff, looting the warehouses becomes an option, right? They went into the Oba's palace and took everything. If people in Lagos Island can go into the Oba's palace and tear the place down, and we're not talking about the fact that they don't like the Oba. We're talking about why they're so disrespectful.
They don't have respect. Yes.
There's one idiot the other day was saying, oh, no, they had the F-1 to go to the Oba. Who the hell is the Oba? He is a Nigerian. Just like
that was elected. Else. Well, he wasn't elected. His family, boy, was put there.
He is being paid off of Nigeria's commonwealth to help the people in his locality to have opportunities. If the people that you're supposed to be helping are the ones breaking into your palace and you don't see that there is a problem, and all you see is, I saw you people in the CCTV entering the royal swimming pool. He actually called it the royal swimming pool. We're all guilty of, I'm not blaming just him. This is our culture. But this is what we need to break. And I hope that as I'm sharing this with everyone out there, you will share it with someone in your family. You will tell your parents, you will tell your siblings, and we will start to try to spread this message. What I'm going to do in my capacity is look for ways to generate content that enlightens and educates people. I think that Nollywood has failed Nigeria. I've said this on podcast episode before. I feel like the stories that we've told and the lessons that we've taught have reinforced these master slave stereotypes. They've reinforced the concept that bad people win all the time. As a matter of fact, that episode I think is titled "Bad Guys Win." For anyone who's out there who's listened to Nigerian-American, and if you haven't, please go listen to the episode where I talk about Nollywood. And the point I was trying to make there, and I think the same point here, is that we can change the mindset of our people through content. People think of Nigerians outside of Nigeria as juju doing people, juju wielding people. Where do they get that idea from?
Like they do jazz?
Yeah, they do juju, they do jazz, and they do that. It's from the movies. There's no other place that someone in Jamaica or Haiti is getting the idea.
Oh, that people outside think about us. Oh, okay.
Is that, people from Ghana, people from Uganda. I hear this all the time. You people Nigerians, hey, you do lots of juju. Bro, we don't do no juju. I mean, maybe some people do, but there's such a small minority.
Yeah.
But
it's like how we see the Indian movies. You know how?
That's right.
We see Indian movies. Right. Yeah.
So essentially, the point is we can reorient, we can re-educate, we can reteach, we can reteach values, because there were values in Nigeria when I was growing up. Values have disappeared now.
Yeah.
There were values. There were things that were. The concept of wanting your children to be a lawyer, doctor, engineer is out the window. That was a thing of the 90s. It's gone now. Nobody cares during the social Benz. They don't care. They don't care how you get it either, because the only examples of success in the community are people who have stolen money.
Yeah. Talking about go ahead.
How does being a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or a positively contributing member of the society become something anyone aspires to be or to do? Why is that even a thing? I can't sit and feel like, oh, I need to do this because I'm contributing. Do you know that there are kids in America who want to be firemen? They want to work for the fire department. Yeah. It's encouraged. People want to work for the police force, not because it allows them to carry a gun, but because they feel like it's a service that they're doing for their community. We have millions of people that can take up those positions and do those things if they have the sense that what they're doing is for the greater good. So we need to sell the story of the greater good. I feel like I'm talking too much, but hopefully
you're not
hopefully
talking
the point is connecting, right?
Yeah.
Is that we need to rebuild that sense of community, and we need to rebuild our sense of
value
protecting
system,
one another and value, and understanding that everyone in the system is not just a warm body or just an element that is consuming, but a potential production opportunity for the community. If there are 10 people in a community, you only all have 24 hours in a day. If there are 100, now you have 2,400 hours. If you're 1,000, now you have 24,000
multiplied.
In a day. And you people can do a bunch of stuff together. So why are we limiting the number of people that can contribute just by, I am the chairman, I'm the master, and you are the slave? So you have two masters in a community of 24,000 people, which is probably about right when you think about the disparity, right? And then everybody else is a slave, and everybody else is put in a position where they can't contribute anything. They just can't. They can't if they want to. There's no light, no water, no infrastructure, no transportation, nothing. They're just there and just hoping that they can survive. We have to change that mindset. We need to turn it around. We can't keep going down this path and think that we're going to make anything. And the one other thing I wanted to mention, and you and I were on a forum yesterday where folks talked about, we need to help Nigeria. We can help Nigeria in so many different ways, and there's no one way, that will fix everything. I think, from my perspective, the one thing we need to do is change our mindset and start to value one another and start to make sure that we do things to give each other equal opportunity. But then there's so many other ways. So I'm not saying that's the only way. One of the ways, though, that we need to also, as a part of our changing that mindset, try to get away from is the idea that we can feed people out of poverty. You can't feed people out of poverty. You can't give people handouts as a way to get them out of poverty. Like just giving them a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there. No matter how much money you actually pull together, it's going to end up being a little bit of money if you're talking 200 million people. So it's not a sustainable means to solving the problem. Understandable NGOs, if you want to feed people. People are hungry. People need food, but don't use food as bait. Don't use food as bait. Don't. It's that mindset. I'm the master, so let me give the slaves a little bit of. Let me give them some cookies.
And don't forget that when we're talking about this, we're talking about a versus. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it is us trying to empower people so that we don't go through all that we've been going through and all the problems you have highlighted. But we always forget that, let me use for a lack of better word, the enemy on the other side has the same means and has much more than our GoFundMe. So if we're trying to raise $100,000 to feed people in Makoko or whatever, a politician that just chopped 70 billion will give them something. You can't compete with
him. You know, so, well, I guess I'll say in conclusion that we need
conclusion. Where are we concluding to? I have questions.
You have questions for me? We're gonna need. We're gonna need to. Is it okay if we take a break and come back in an hour?
No. Let me just finish what you're trying to say. Yeah.
But the point I was trying to make. Well, let's say in conclusion of part one.
Part one, yes.
Part one. What I'm trying to say is that everyone needs to think very deeply about this concept and understand that until you become your brother's keeper, the Nigerian problem is not going to be solved. Because until your brother feels like his best interest,
looking out for him,
what you're really about, he's going to go with the politician that gives him money to vote to keep them in power, and you're going to continue to be at risk. So connecting with everybody. Start from your community, your family. You have cousins that you probably have lost touch with that are part of that larger population of Nigerians. Reach out to them, pull them closer. Try to understand what they're going through. Make a connection. Tell them to make a connection. Preach that concept of let's take care of our community. And then we can be on the path really to anything that's going to make sense. Because that's the only way that societies that function actually function. We all function based on fictions. And we'll talk about that when we come back, right?
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit about that whole concept of functioning based on fictions, because it's belief fictions. If we all believe in the same fictions, then we can collaborate effectively and efficiently, which we're not doing very well right now because we don't believe in the same fictions. Well, the fictions we believe in are the ones that are hurting us.
Yes.
So
and
the reason I need to step away is because I have another meeting at 3.
Is it almost 3?
Minutes. Yeah, it is. It is 3. So
we'll talk about that. If we get to come back,
we'll continue. Yeah. No, we will get to come back because you're gonna rejoin at 4.
Okay, at 4.
I need to hear your questions, and I definitely want to answer your questions.
Yeah. I want us to talk about the election, because everybody's talking about the election, but to do what? I mean, if we get one good person in the midst of that, we see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So we need to get educated about that. And, like you said, we need to start with our families. A house girl is still sitting in the kitchen, eating on the floor. And madam, do you understand? How can you trust someone cooking for you and still treat them like that? So there's a lot.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah, and we'll come back at 4 if we get to come back at 4.
We will come back at 4. I will drag you back at 4.
All right, man. Thank you, Eldee. All right, okay.